think he was in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not positive, I believe Italy. He was over there somewhere for a while, wasn't too long, I guess. He come home, of course he got out pretty soon, you know. The war was over then, then August.
That we
When,
have left. I mean, I'm just so.
Japan fell in August of that year, 45.
Or he can't really remember anything except for what was told to him. He said, well, Joe, he said, your grandma has 3 brothers, well now 4, and that Joe D was a machine gunner, and that Tim went somewhere in the South Pacific, and that you were also in the war, and that all 3 of you came back, which was kind of unheard of back then because, I mean,
Well, like see, Joe was in Germany. He went to Germany. When I come home, I didn't know where he was at. When I went overseas, he was here in camp somewhere, I guess. And then when I come home, well, I asked Mom as soon as I got home because I hadn't heard nothing, you know. And I said, "So where Joe was at?" And he was in Germany. See, he went over. He come over there, and I think in January of that year. I was over there the year before, see.
Oh.
And he was in January of 45 before he come over, and then, of course, he wasn't over. Ray was sick, my sister one died,
Right.
and Mom got hold of the Red Cross some way, and then got him.
And he was a machine gunner.
Yeah, he was a machine gunner. He was with the 3rd Army, with Patton. See, Patton had the 3rd Army. Of course, he wasn't right with Patton, but and I was with the 1st Army. I was under Hodges. General Hodges was over the 1st Army. Well, that's what I was in, see. Because I didn't even know he was over there. See, he was over there when I was in that prison camp. That's when he come. I was already in the prison camp when he come over there. Because I got captured in December.
So January, February, March, April. Wow.
I got in there on that. I got captured on the 17th of December whenever Germany broke through in the Battle of the Bulge.
Oh, that was the name of the battle that you
Yeah,
captured?
the Battle of the Bulge, yeah.
That is in history books.
I was in that, yeah.
That is just
I was right across the road. People weren't seeing them days before they come over there.
Huh.
We was like in a holding position, see, and they come over.
Huh.
When they broke through on a Friday, we drove back Friday. And Saturday night they come again and they surrounded us in. And the next morning, Sunday morning it was, me and 2 other guys was out in a hedgerows in a dugout in a hole. There was 3. Well, one of them was up in another hole. Me and this one guy was in this hole. We could see this other guy. So we motioned to him and everything. He crawled down and got in there with us. When us 3 was there, well, we surrounded them. Heck, we see Germans going down the road and everything. We just sat there and watched them. Well, then, that was about noon. Communication wire. You know, they carry spools hanging and walking and rolling. They would and he started running down the road hollering, "Americans, Americans, Americans."
Oh.
And of course there come a couple more with their guns drawn. We put our hands up. That was it for me, so I got out of that prison camp then. Of course then now I don't know how many, there was only 3 of us left out of my platoon at that time. But I seen several of the guys back that was captured the night before. We got all scattered and everything. I don't know. Some of them I never did see them more on whether they was killed or whether they was captured or what was happened Sunday. And some of them, like I said, I never did see them more. I don't know.
Let's see, so that, Tim, did he go over into the South Pacific sometime after the war? Was there an island or something that he went to?
Oh, he was over there. He went in, he was in the Air Corps.
Oh.
See, they put him in a motorcycle outfit. He rode motorcycles down it. Then they transferred him to the Air Corps. See, there wasn't no Air Force at the time. They called it the Army Air Corps. So that's what they put him in the Air Corps. Now it's the Army Air Force, you know. Now they call it the Air Force, but I mean, they got a different branch of service. But at that time, it was the Army Air Corps. And they put him in, he went to California, went to school at Pomona, California. And that was like a mechanic and that. And then during the war, I mean, after he got overseas, he was in, he went to Australia, and then he was in New Guinea, Dobadur, wherever Dobadur is at. I heard him talk about Dobadur. But anyway, during that, he was a crew chief on a C-46. He flew. I mean, he didn't fly the plane himself. He was the crew chief on it. Mm-hmm. And, of course, he'd see that the plane was ready to take off and all that. And he'd tell you, he's told me how quick he could change a motor in an airplane. I don't know where. See, they wasn't jets then. They had them old propel jobs. Well, he was a crew chief. He was the boss over that C-46 that he flew in, and all they'd done was carry up supplies and soldiers, infantry soldiers. See, of course I don't know how long he flew there like that before the war was over. You know, before he come home. Well, he come home sometime about the same time I did. I guess he got out and come home.
And then there was Bobby who said he was.
The war was over. See, during the war, they could keep you, whenever they drafted you for 6 months and a duration. Mm-hmm. I mean, the duration, I put that into the war if they wanted to, see. Well, when he went in, then the war was over before he was ever eligible to do any fighting. He was he went to the same camp that Joe did in Florida. That's where both of them took their basic at Camp Blanding, Florida. Anyway, he had took his basic down there, and I think it was Italy he was in the Army of Occupation. Of course, that's like they clean up where they had been battling this stuff, you know. Wasn't no fighting, but I mean, he was had him over there and that. The Army of what they call the Army of Occupation.
And Roy had polio, and so
he never did go in the Korean War. He was in the Air Force. He joined the Air Force. See, they started the Air Force then, and he joined the Air Force. This was in the Korean War now. Oh. But he never was in Korea. He was in French Morocco in the Air Force.
Wow.
Don't sound like a bad gig.
Huh?
Don't sound like a bad thing to do.
No, it wasn't. See, when I was home in the 50s, 52 or 3 or something, I don't know how long in there. During the Korean War, which was quite a little while after World War II was over, see. And I told him, I said, Charles, don't never let them draft you in the Army. Because I know what it was. See, I was in the anti-aircraft first, which was a nice outfit. I was in the 40 millimeter outfit and everything. Anyway, when I got overseas and Germany's aircraft fell, they busted up our outfit and throwed us in the infantry. Man, that was hell when I got in the infantry, see. So I told Charles, I said, don't never let them draft you. I said, join the Navy or the Air Force. Well, he said, I feel like a coward if I do that. I said, why, you been in service? He said, you went over there and Joe was in there. I said, that's right. Navy, you won't have to do that. Mm-hmm. He said, well, Hook, that was Jeanette, Bob's wife now. He was already in, and then he was the same age as Charles, and growed up down there together. Him and that, what the heck was that boy's name? Cleaver, Art Cleaver. Well, Cleaver and Hook was already in the Army. See, they let them draft them. He said, well, Bill and Cleaver's over there. I said, let them stay over there getting that done. So he did. He joined the Air Force then, see. Instead of letting them draft him, he joined the Air Force. Of course, he was, like I said, he's nice out. I mean, he got sleep in bed every night where he'd been laying or whatever.
Yeah, so it was really you. You were in there probably the longest and in the worst position.
Yeah.
And then Joe D was probably next as far as having it bad. But you were there.
Well, I went in at Omaha Beach and we hit Normandy in Omaha Beach. Well, I didn't go in on D-Day. I went in, it was after D-Day when I hit Normandy, but that's why I went into Normandy at Omaha Beach. And then Of course, they was done on back up in France a ways whenever I got in there, see. Then they broke their outfit up, they put us in there, and I went to hedgerows, called. You've heard about them, maybe read about the hedgerows where you fought, the little old field wouldn't be an acre, you look over around. I mean, when we'd advanced, which we did, and of course some guys didn't make it, but the majority of us did, and all that stuff, see. And then I was in the Harrigan Forest I was up there 32 days. I know one time that I said, I don't think I'll wash my face for 32 days. We lived up in that snow yay deep. Dang cold, no fire, nothing. You know, you couldn't build a fire or nothing.
So what kind of boots did they give you? Good jackets, or did you have leather boots?
Well, you had leather shoes and then them galoshes over them.
Oh, okay.
And then you had wool long underwear. I had 2 pair of them on. Plus, we wore the same, over there in battle, we wore old uniform used to be. That's what we wore over there. I had what they call the eye jacket and then wool pants on. And, of course, them when the snow hit. We'd sleep in dugouts and things at night, you know, and it wasn't too bad in there. On your feet would get cold some. That was you laying down in the ground under all that. But see, we would take, as we would advance, we would take places where the Germans had already dug in. What they'd do, they'd dig a deep hole and put dirt back over it. Then have a hole down here, crawl down in there. Heck, we had a big place to lay down in there. We'd take theirs, see, and as we advanced, well, we just take theirs, see. Stayed in, we didn't have to dig no holes or no nothing, see, then. And that's the way we went all the time. And then when they come up there, I think it was the 8th Division, relieved us in the Harrigan Forest, and we was going to go back for a rest. We went back in a place where we took a long, heck, I don't know how many days before that, a long time back, and stayed one night there. Then they moved us over in Luxembourg, country of Luxembourg, right across the river from Germany. That's where I was at when they broke through. Holding up. Well, they put us in what they call a holding position. We wasn't advancing, we were just holding our company was holding a 3-mile front up down that river. A little river called Our River was between Luxembourg and Germany. Oh. And we was on this side of the river and they was on that side. Well, we stayed there for quite a while before they broke through. We were living in a house. We had a house there that of course, we was out in the country away from this little old town of Wallhausen, they called it. Of course, we'd sneak up there at night and go through that town sometime. Little old bird wasn't over 3 or 4 blocks long or something. Just sneaking around there and see if there's anybody in there or something. I mean, they put us on patrol, and I don't know, I went up there on 2 or 3 different nights. But anyway, we was in this farmhouse like it was, I guess, a mile from it. We could look over and see that little town. But then we stayed in and had beds upstairs and everything. We was living in luxury there. Them people, they moved out, left the beds out there. We was sleeping in beds. Had a kitchen there, and I think it was, we killed all them chickens, and we eat fried chicken like that. Got the guy for the Jeep every night. The guy would bring us a hot supper with the Jeep. See, the kitchen was way back, where from us, we was up to the front, but they was way back. Mm-hmm. And every night that Jeep would come up there and bring us lard and butter and peanut butter. Hell, we had stuff for sandwiches all down in there. But anyway, had this one guy with us that could cook, and we'd kill them chickens and fried them chickens for Thanksgiving. And then that night here they'd come with some turkey dinner for us from the kitchen. Hell, ain't nobody want no turkey because we're full of fried chicken.
Really?
We're full of fried chicken. That didn't last too long. Oh, dang, and they come in there and start battling. And then they, on a Saturday night, see, they broke through on a Friday. We drove them back. Saturday they come over again. We drove them back again. And then Saturday night, that's when they shot tracers in there and burned our house down and everything. Of course, I wasn't in it. I was out in the hole they were out in there then. And, didn't have nothing to eat. I was on a Friday then. I went out on a guard duty there on a Friday about noon. And then it was Tuesday before I got anything to eat again. I got captured Sunday. See, Saturday we wasn't no nothing to eat. Didn't get nothing, and then Sunday when they captured us, and then they didn't give us nothing to eat till Tuesday night. Give us some old soup, some kind of stuff. I drank that soup out of my old helmet.
Oh, you guys had like metal helmet?
Yeah, old steel helmets, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See, we had what you call the helmet liner, which was plastic. You wore that, and then you put that old steel thing on over that, see. I drank that soup out of that steel helmet. They poured me a bunch of taste in it and everything. I thought, I don't know, but hell, I drank it. I was hungry. They don't know when you're going to get anything else, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Damn, you eat it.
And so you were there about 4 months, huh?
Yeah. Let's see, I got captured on the 17th of December, and I got out sometime 1st April. First few days of April. I was back in Camp Lucky Strike in France when the war was over, the 12th of May, I guess it was. I was done back in France, but they took. Then I got on a boat, and I was on that boat. I think it was 21 days coming home. Because they come home with a convoy, and hell, they don't travel fast. You know, about, I think it was 6 ships in that convoy or something. You don't travel very fast in a convoy.
Oh, yeah. So it took, how long did it take to get back on the ship back here, you think?
What now?
21 days.
Oh, 21 days?
I think I was on the water 21 days, yeah.
Oh, that is
A
long.
long time.
Yeah.
Because I got home, I don't know, I was home in June and July, part of July or something. When we got home, they give us 60-day furlough. I got a 60-day furlough when I got home on account of being a prisoner of war, see. So I was come home for 60 days, and then I went to Miami Beach, Florida for rehabilitation, was down there a couple of weeks. And then I went to Oklahoma, and I started training in chemical mortar battalion. We were scheduled to go to Japan in October. We trained out there, we were going to train for 6 weeks, I think it was. Of course, they had a lot of guys like myself that had, was what they call a cadre. That's a guy, and all the other guys that we was training was new guys just coming into the Army, see. And had guys like me who'd been overseas, been in the Army for a while. A number of officers hadn't been overseas. It was out there because whenever they'd start giving a lecture, you know, like we was having classes and things, and then they'd ask us, is that the way it happened? No, that ain't the way it happens over there. We'd tell them what they could expect when they got overseas and all that, see. Of course, all them guys was done with, I mean, like the officers, they just come out of training here or something, and they went by the book, whatever the book said. You don't go by the book when you're over there. If you jerk that book out and looking at it, you know you'll liable to get killed. You make up your own mind fast. When you're overseas, you ain't got time to look at no book, see what you're supposed to do next.
Oh, yeah.
See what I mean? But that's all them poor guys know. They was training that according to the book. See, because I was learned all that stuff in training here too, but a book. But when you get overseas, you forget that book. Because half of it ain't there. You know what I mean? You got to make up your own mind what you can do and can't do, and what you better do, and all that stuff to stay alive, you know. Of course, all that training helps you a whole lot. Now, don't get me wrong, help you a hell of a lot. But it don't make you. When you get aware, after you stayed in there, you went through a couple of skirmishes or something like that, they called you an old man. Well, I was an old man for a long time over there. Because I'd been there, and then, of course, out there, they knowed that, see, when I come back from overseas. And I wasn't the only one. There was several of us was out there that had been in that prison camp and was training them guys in chemical mortars, and we were supposed to go to, man, I was the happiest son of a buck that day, I think, whenever the war ended. I know we ain't going to Japan, because I was dreading Japan.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, seemed like when I was over there, that I never did have in my mind whatsoever I wasn't coming home. Never did, but I was scared to go to Japan. I mean, I don't know, I just had kind of a feeling if I ever go over there, I may not get back. But when I was in Germany, I never did, that didn't even enter my mind I wasn't coming home. Just didn't worry about it, you know? I mean, just I mean, you were too, but I mean, you wasn't sitting around scared to death and worrying all the time that I ain't gonna get to go home and all this and that and that, and wondering what's gonna happen at home and this and that. You didn't go, did I? I never thought of that in that over there, because I always said I'm coming home.
I was so thankful that you can remember some of this stuff and that, that I appreciate you reliving it and remembering it because I know it's a stress on you just to remember it, but I do appreciate
not
it.
so much. A lot of it seems like a dream you had a long time ago. But it just seems like a dream or something that happened. Just like anything happens, the world's gonna keep moving whether you do or not, And it's just something that happened in your lifetime that you don't want to remember all of it or don't care to remember it, but you sure in heck don't want to do it no more. Well, I wasn't as old as I am now. There wouldn't be no way I could even think about doing what I done back in days.
Oh, how old were you when?
Oh, hell, I wasn't but 20 in the Army, I guess. And I was 26 or 7 when I got back. Of course, I was young and everything, and I could do most anything that anybody else could do.
Were you the oldest of all your brothers?
Huh?
Were you the oldest?
No, Roy was the oldest. And then I was next to him. But I was as strong as an ox when I was young, and just like I said, I could do about anything anybody else could do. And when I was in that Army, of course, when you go in the Army, they build you. And I was pretty young. I took a combat infantryman's course just to see if I could go through it. I passed it all except the push-ups. You had to do 50. That's all I missed in that, but I got my badge, a combat badge thing, a rifle and all. I got that. 50, and I forgot how much time you had. Wasn't a whole lot of time. You had to do 50 push-ups, and I did 38 in that. That's something I never could do a lot of was them push-ups. The rest of it I could do.
This just means a lot to me, and I know it does to Mike to be able to
How
have.
did your camp get liberated? I mean, how was it?
Our
you got
guys
released?
come through there. Our allies are a part of the Third Army now. What it was, they called it the motorized cavalry. See, it had been a cavalry outfit years back when it used to be cavalry. That was horses.
Mm-hmm.
Not over in our time. This was in World War I and all that, but this was still a cavalry outfit. Motorized cavalry, they called it. It was tanks, half-tracks, and good God, whatever you come through there that morning. I mean, that was strictly every day whenever we seen them tanks coming up there.
Mm-hmm.
But we had with a German in there, he was a guard like, and it was a corporal. A young guy, and he'd been over here and went to school in New York. He went home on a leave, and they drafted him, throwed him in the army in Germany, see. But anyway, he was up there, and he'd come up there every day in our barracks and tell us where our allies was at and how much they advanced and all that. He'd tell us, don't let nobody know I'm telling you this. And of course, you don't know whether to believe him or not, but we kept our hopes built up, but he wasn't lying. And he wasn't lying. We found out when he got out that everything he told us, he crossed the Rhine River. He told us when the day they crossed the Rhine, how close they was to us. And he missed it but one day when he told us when they was going to come in there. I forgot what day he said, but anyway, they didn't come in there until the next morning. He told us when we'd be, see, about half of the guards left one day. We know they all left and everything, see. And we asked him when he come in there, said, well, how come all them guys leave? What's going on?
Yeah.
And he said, well, you're out. He said, they give us, we either stay here and be captured or move back and maybe do more fighting and all this and that and the other. And he said, the guys that's here just stayed here to be captured. He said, I'm going to go back to New York. He said, as soon as this is over, if I can, I'm going back to New York and finish my schooling. He said, I stay here to be captured. You don't want to do no more fighting or what have you. Well, like I said, he told us what day he was coming in there. I don't remember, but we heard them guns, tanks and things like this evening. The little town of Bad Orb, Germany was where we was at. It was set down in the valley. It was a summer resort place, but we was up on a hill out of there, about a mile up a hill out of that town where the camp was at. Gun farm maybe or something. The evening before, but they got to the edge of that town and they halted there till the next morning. About 6 o'clock in the morning they jumped off. And, in other words, when they advanced, they call it jumping off. And when they took off the next morning and come right on through that town, right on up there after us and everything. And man, that tank come up that hill. That thing looked like one of them old big ones. And he hit that gate down there. It was a gate across the road at the call it there. And he had that turret just swinging like that. When he come in, went plumb around the camp. Camp was like square. Come in right here, and he went plumb around the camp right here and backed up right here. Can't worry, but he'd been a move. He could blow the place apart, I guess. But now he got over here and backed up. Here was tanks and half tracks backed up all the way around that camp. I mean, we followed him in there and just lined up around the camp. Here went that old, holding that big pole, that white flag, surrendering that camp, see. Wasn't a shot fired, nobody fired a shot or nothing. Because they know they done had it, because them Germans didn't want to fight no more. The ones that stayed there, hell, they threw it, and they stayed there, said to be captured. That guy told us that. He said, hell, everybody stays here. Stay there to be captured. They don't want to go back no more and try to do no more fighting. Well, they know by that time, I guess, too, that the war was over. Because, see, the Battle of the Bulge was Hitler's last drive. That was a big drive. So he got way back in France when of course, that's when I was captured at. And they got back in there before they halted them and run them back, see. Because he didn't have another chance then. And them guys, hell, they ready to give up and quit. They didn't want to do no more fighting. This one old guy that was a guard over the barracks I was in, his name was Joe. Call him Joe. We could talk to him a little bit, not much. But anyway, them guys that come in there, they's pretty rough. They start manhandling them guys. We told them don't bother Joe. He was a good guy. He was good to us and everything. Don't do nothing to him. And they didn't. They just left him and they took us, all them guards carried with a sword. We took them swords away from him. And hell, he just stayed around there and mangled around with us. And then all the time when I left, he was standing down there at the gate. All of us was coming out, a bunch of us. He's standing there waving goodbye to us and all. Of course, they captured, I don't know what they took him, prison camp or whatever the hell they done with him in. But he stayed there. I was there, I think, about 4 days. Among the last ones that come out, and Joe was still there and had never sent him back. And he was still there messing around in there.
Did before the camp was liberated, did anybody sneak you guys like good food or good clothes?
No,
or
God, no. I had on the same clothes I was captured in. Wore the same clothes all the time I was captured. I had 2 baths while I was in there, and put the same clothes right back on. I was in there over 4 months, close 4.5 months or something, whatever. And I had 2 baths while I was in there. And had on the same clothes. I was captured 123 pounds, starved to death. We starved to death, and they done began to die like flying. With a bunch of guys died. They'd say this was wrong, off,
Yeah.
no resistance, nothing. And we just stayed there that summer. Hell, there's half of the camp or more would have died. Well, the last thing that we was, food that I got before I got out was what they call barley soup. And that was the best food we had while I was in there. First we was eating just old greens. It looked like old turnip, sugar beet tops that they put in there and boil them, just throw them in the old vat and boil them. That's what we'd eat. And every evening we'd get a loaf of bread. There's small loaves like that there was, and you divided that among 6 guys. Of bread, and that was your supper. You didn't get no breakfast every morning. They'd give us, well, about I don't know, we were up in the morning, they give us what they call coffee. It's something like it wasn't like our coffee, but it was some kind of tea-like stuff or something. Or long afternoon, we'd get that quarter soup. You got a quarter soup. The guy, they cook all that in a great big old vat. The guy sitting up there with a ladle, quart ladle, had a handle on it, I don't know, just long or whatever. He'd sit up there, German he was, and he dipped down in there. You'd walk by with your container, whatever you had. He'd walk by, he'd dip down in there and put it in your container. And a long time, part of the time I ever had, we got to call it potato soup. They'd bring a wagon, like an old 2-horse wagon up there, and they'd have them potatoes in it, just in there, and they'd take a scoop and scoop them in there, dirt, rotten ones and all in that, and boil them. And if he scooped down in there and got a potato in that, well, you got some potatoes. If you didn't, you just got water. He walked on, you didn't say nothing. If he had of it or whatever, went on.
190 to 123, that's a big.
I couldn't hardly walk when I got out. So dang weak, I couldn't hardly walk when I got out. I know we'd go down there and get that coffee. They put it in 10-gallon milk can. You know what 10-gallon milk can is. They'd fill it up, and before I got out, now I'd go down there sometime in the morning with them, and we'd put the sticks through the handle on it, and 6 of us would carry that can of milk. And now, before when I was captured, I could have thrown one of them damn cans over a building. But 6 of us would carry that up to the barracks, and we'd have to sit down and rest, going up there, and all everybody's damn weak. 6 of us carrying one of them damn 10-gallon cans. I guess what did it weigh, 100 a week? Anyway, starved to death, couldn't walk, couldn't hardly walk. Of course, like I said, there was a lot of guys was dying later. Of course, when we was first captured, they didn't, because everybody was, down. Now, this one guy that was he was in my outfit. He come up there as a replacement before we was captured and things. After we got out and was back there in France, he ate enough donuts, killed himself.
Oh,
Yeah,
they told you when you got out, don't eat a lot.
Yeah, all that grease and stuff in them donuts. See, we could go down there to, when it was back at Camp Lucky Strike, we could go down there to, we want to. We wouldn't have to do nothing. We didn't have to make up our own beds or nothing. We was there. They had guys doing that. Hell, we was living like, of course, we was in tents, but hell, we didn't have to.
Instruct you guys just to eat a little bit at a time.
Well, they did. See, when it was captured, they were supposed to take us to a hospital where they could ration you and give you what, but they couldn't get us down to the camp. See, we was 12 miles over there to a big field the Germans had used for an airfield. It didn't have no runways built on it, it just looked like a big pasture field, And they landed and it sunk up. See, it was early spring and the ground wouldn't hold it. It sunk, that plane sunk. Well, they just couldn't get it, but they brought us sea rations in there. That's that old can that we had, bringing that in there for us to eat, see. Well, they told us that now, they'd give you a whole can of it. You felt like you could eat a dozen of them cans. They beat it in your head. Don't eat. Come down there an hour, we'll give you another. Don't eat, don't gorge yourself, Well, a lot of guys, I guess, did, because they got sick and had diarrhea and all this. But I'd eat enough and I'd start feeling a little full, I wouldn't eat no more. Heck, an hour or two if I was hungry. They tell you couldn't eat it after you opened them cans, if you kept it a little while. Throw it away and come down there and in an hour we'll give you another, which they would. That's the way I done. I rationed myself. I said, hell, I done went through this. I know I'm going out of here now. I wouldn't eat much. Most of the guys, you didn't have to guard yourself because you know you're going to get some more. Or, hell, anytime you wanted, you could go down and give it to you, see. Well, then on the 4th day, I think it was, after we was liberated, well, they had landed another plane in there and it held it. See, I mean, the ground had done dried up enough then that it held it. And heck, it was an hour, that field was full of airplanes. Where they come from, I don't know, but then plane, and they would fly 4 planes an hour out of there. And that was what, 100 guys an hour they was bringing out, see. Well, it was 30, I don't know how many of us was. At one time there, when I last knowed about it, I guess it was 3,300 of us there in that camp where I was at.
Wow.
Anyway, they put out there, because I didn't really hurry to try to get out, really. I got there, I had plenty of food and everything, but anyway, when I got out, then they took us over, and they had field shower set up. We got in there, and they gave us all, anyway, got all them clothes. Man, I stayed out of that shower, God dang, seen me like 3 hours. That it felt good. All that soap, man, washing all of it. See, your skin was all dried. Man, I stayed in that shower. Then they gave me a pair of shoes that was way too big. I told that man, I said, these shoes is way too big for me. He said, buddy, we ain't trying to fit you. We just want to get you out of here. I left them big old shoes on, but with another guy, I guess after I got back there to Lucky Strike, then his shoes was hurting his feet. They give him some, it was too tight on him or something. I traded with him, I got a pair of fit me. But anyway, didn't have to wear them long till they took us over there, and we threw all them clothes away there at Lucky Strike. And they give us new clothes then, see, give me new combat boots. I had a new pair of boots and everything. Shoes I shaped up there then. Give us all new clothes. But all they done, a lot of them clothes, like I said, they give us there at, when we was taking a shower, getting out of that camp and everything, it was used clothes, but they fit you and everything, and they clean and all. They've been clean, laundered and all that. And all every pound burnt it. So we was all lousy and everything. Everybody was so lousy that the damn lice eat you up. I mean, well, they didn't eat you on you too much. More or less crawling around on you wouldn't bother you at night when you're trying to go to sleep, don't it? Some of us seemed like start crawling. But that night after we was liberated, they give us what they call delousing powders. A little can about that, looked like a black pepper can, what they looked like. About powders, you know, we put them. So they give each guy a can of it. Well, this guy that bunked, we slept in that prison camp. We had them old homemade bunks. They was one blanket, and where we'd have 2 blankets to cover up with us, see? And 2 of us would sleep together on there. Well, me and this guy that I buddied with there, I slept with. And there, some way or another, we got another can apiece of that powders. I don't remember how we finagled it now, but anyway, we got 2 cans apiece. Put a whole can in our clothes. Each one put a whole can in clothes, and we put 2 cans in that old Excelsior we was sleeping on. Because that killed them lice. Man, that night, man, I slept like a log. Then it was a good night's sleep, too. That was really a good feeling when that day, and then I think the next one, the best feeling I had then was that night when late that evening when that ship kicked off and started home. Man, that was another good feeling too. You look back and say, man, I'm leaving this hellhole now. Going home, man, and then that old ship started out across that ocean.
So they had you scheduled, you were going to go back over in a mortar battalion
Yeah.
to Japan?
Yeah, that outfit was scheduled to go to Japan in October. After we had to take, I think it was 6 weeks training we was taking it there. And this was in August. We'd been in training 2 weeks when Japan fell. But we was already knew we were scheduled to go to Japan in October. Well, actually, about Japan and all that, it was really, they was worse to fight than the Germans was. Of course, after we got rid of the SS troops, they called them, they wasn't too bad. They was mean some bitches. Them SS troops would do anything and all that. But after we got rid of most of them over there, the rest of them wasn't too bad. I mean, them SS was. They was Hitler's right-hand men, you know. Man, you catch one of them son of a bucks, and see, they had little things tattooed on their arm. I forgot which arm it was under now. All of them had it on the same arm, like S, SS, you know. It wasn't made like we'd make S, it was crooked like an S, but man, we tried to look under the arm. They didn't want you to look under the arm. Find out, let them, when you capture one of them, if they was SS, they didn't want you to know they'd been SS. But man, they tricked them like I don't know what. And they didn't want you to know there was SS. And a lot of times Poland fight with them. See, they took Poland and they made them guys fight with Germany, see. And when we captured some of them, because we wouldn't bother them Polish boys, because they was made to fight with Germany, see. I mean, we'd capture them, but I mean, they didn't treat them bad or nothing. And if you captured one of them, they'd try to tell you right now, if
Yeah.
hell, you ain't no Pole. You're a damn kraut. You ain't no Pole. We call them krauts. They didn't get mistreated if it's Polish, see. Nothing. And them Polish guys, I don't know why, but them boys you capture some, and they'd give anything to get to ride on our Jeeps. Just tickle them to death to get on our Jeeps to ride it. Yeah, they want to ride them Jeeps. They'd do anything to get to ride a Jeep. Ran around them guys that driving them Jeeps come up there, and them guys that do anything, help them doing it. They'd do anything for a guy if he'd let them ride that Jeep. They wanted to ride on our Jeeps. I don't know what there was about it so much that they wanted to ride on them, but
That is so interesting. Did you have any other questions?
No, I can't.
I don't know enough about even what, but I'm thankful that you shared what you have with us, because I think it's important. My boys will come home and be talking about, history and that, and I'll try to tell them now, my grandmother had brothers that were in that war, and they'll be like, no, and they'll be naming places. Yes, they were there. No way, Mom. Yes.
well, when I went overseas, we went over on an old French ship. They called it the Ile de France or Isle de France. It had been an old cargo ship. Overseas on an old French ship. That's what I went over on. And landed in Glasgow, Scotland. That's where it landed there. Then I got on a train there in Glasgow and went and crossed England to, crossed England, then got on a boat there and went into beach. That's where I went into Normandy. Of course, they was done on top of I didn't go in on D-Day. It was after D-Day when I went in there. But anyway, they was done back a little ways back in France from there. And when I went in there, then my outfit, they put us in the infantry then. And I went to 110th Infantry, 28th Division. And that's what I done my fighting with. Of course, we had an airplane maybe every day or two or something, 3 days, maybe we didn't see nothing. Germany was aircraft, ain't aircraft at the rest of ours up. I was in the 823rd aircraft. They busted that up and sent it to the infantry, because I didn't know nothing about no infantry training. The old sergeant I had while I was over there, last name was Kaiser. He's from West Virginia. Called him Mama. I don't know where he got that name, but that's all I ever knowed him by was Mama Kaiser. And he's standing there and he had a Browning automatic rifle, see? And he looked at me and he said, did you ever fire a BAR? That was short for a Browning. Did you ever fire a BAR? I said, I never seen one. He just pitched me that rifle and he said, you make a good Browning man. And he pitched me that rifle and I thought it was good for when I got in action. And I kept that thing. I didn't have the same one. I got me another one. But I kept one of them all the way through. After I got that automatic, I found out what it was good for and I kept that thing. But see, when they made me a squad leader after it was over a while, like I said a while ago, they called you an old man. Of course, they made me a squad leader. I said, I don't want to be no squad leader. They told me, you have to give up your Browning. See, you was a leader, you had 11 guys and you lead them and tell them what to do or how to do or what have you when you go into battles or things. But anyway, told me I'd have to give up my, you see, you had to get a little ahead of myself there, and each squad had a Browning team in it, you know what I'm talking about. One guy carried the rifle and another carried ammunition for it. Of course, he had a rifle, he carried M1, the other guy did, but this Browning, it fired so many rounds that fast, you know, like a machine gun, it fired. And, of course, you had your system, your ammunition bearer, they called him, with no squad leader. Well, he said, hadn't you rather be a leader, because you're an old man, than somebody, new guy just come in here, telling you, you know, leading you? And I stuttered, I said, yeah, I think I had. But, you know, some new guy come over, you don't know what he might do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, yeah, I believe I had. I said, I ain't gonna give him a Browning. He says, you know what you can do, don't you? In other words, he meant steal you one or get you one anywhere you can, see if you want. He said, you know what you do? Repairing guns, see? And there was about 6, 8 of them Brownings laying out there. One of them had, somebody had had it before and they took it down there and had them repaired or whatever. And somebody cut in the stock on it, Spit and Sue. I picked up Spit and Sue and I carried it. Just walked on with it. See, nobody see me or said nothing. If they saw me, they didn't say nothing. Of course, I gave another guy that was my Browning man that was in my team. I gave him that, and I kept Spit and Sue. That's the one I had when I was captured, was Spit and Sue. I've been using it all the way through there, Dan.
Spit and Sue.
Spit and Sue. I kept Spit and Sue. Somebody had it for that, and they cut it in the stock on it. You know, took the knife, cut Spit and Sue in it. He named it, whoever had it had named it Spit and Sue.
Did the Browning use a clip?
Yeah, 20 round clips, yeah. Had 20 rounds in a clip. And you wore a belt with 12 clips on. You had 13 clips, which was 20 rounds to a clip. That's what you had. The belt was heavy as heck. It had 12 clips in it. Of course, you had suspenders on that belt you wore, see?
Mm-hmm.
I had that belt on, and but that thing with the tripod, see, it had a thing on the end. I don't know if you've seen pictures of it.
Mm-hmm.
A Browning's got the tripod, they call it. On it, I mean a bipod, they call it. I said tripod. I got off, threw it away. That made it 2 pounds lighter. And then the hell did they call that? It was on the end of the stock where you stick out in the ground when you was firing it off of that bipod. I took that off, threw it away, because I fired it from the hip all that. I put my leg through that sling, fire it like this, turn it sideways. If you wanted to go this way, if you wanted to go up and down, I'd turn it this way. Because you didn't hold it. Whenever you was firing it automatic, you didn't hold it. It went where it wanted to.
They moved you around, you was kind of steady.
Yeah, you could just turn it sideways like that and it'd go this way, see. As it fired, it pulled it that way all the time. And if you want it to come up, well, you just hold it that way and you jerk it back down and rip it again, you know. And that's the way I fired that thing on it. I mean, them people was, of course, they tried Germans tried to knock out automatic weapons like machine guns and Brownings and things, and they was after them, but man, you could throw some bullets with that thing.
That's a miracle you guys came back.
Yeah, I never got a scratch, no way. I mean, you know, didn't get hit nothing, but got close a few times, but never got wounded or nothing while I was there.
Mm-hmm.
I know bullets just went right by you. I know that because if it's a leaf or something, like when we was up there in the forest and all, we'd be crawling down under it. If a bullet would hit a leaf right beside it, it'd pop, pop, like that when it went through that leaf. I've heard them pop, didn't seem like it was that far from me sometime, but as long as you heard them, you was all right. One you didn't hear, the one you worried about.
Yeah, you just...
Yeah, one you heard, you was all right.
Awesome.
Well, Michael, I appreciate you bringing me over here.
And I did that, you've heard them talk about the screaming Mimi, I guess.
Yeah.
You read about it. Well, I didn't know. I never did know what a screaming. I still don't know, to tell you the truth. In the Harrigan Forest. Well, he was asleep. One of us was on the phone. See, we'd have a telephone with us all the time, if we could.
Mhm.
And I was laying in the hole with him, one of them dugouts like I was talking about. And I was on the phone. Well, one of us would stay on the phone a while, an hour or two, and I was sleeping. I'm laying there on the phone. There, anything. I'm laying there and I heard that screaming Mimi coming. Man, it's a squeal you ever heard. I said, what? I said, what is that? He said, that's just a scream. See, he'd been in battle before and everything. He said, that's just a screaming Mimi. Screaming Mimi, what the hell is that? That goes, that ain't gonna hurt you, it's going over. It went on, with a shell, and you could hear him hit way over there, and they was firing them back there somewhere, and they was hitting way over from us. But man, that scared the hell out of me, and I heard that thing at night. I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard one before. Like I said, as long as I heard of you,
Well, I heard it, yeah.
As long as you hear it, you was all right. But screaming Mimi, what the hell is screaming?
He went back to sleep, huh?
Yeah, we all sleep like it wasn't nothing.
Really, like that's just a plumbing.
Yeah,
That's just that faucet. It keeps leaking.
I mean, somebody like that. It was really nice to be with him because, see, he'd been, they was, I don't know how long they'd been fighting for. I went in as a replacement. Well, Mama had been leading that platoon ever since they went overseas, I guess, or when they went in France and all that,
Mama Kaiser.
He was from West Virginia. Yeah.
Huh.
And I don't reckon that man ever was afraid of it. He didn't act like it. When you get out there, walk around, he's leading that platoon, but he was up front all the time. Most of the time he led the platoon because we didn't have we were supposed to have a lieutenant leading the platoon, captain, but most of the time we didn't. Seemed like it every time that one come in there, he didn't last long or got wounded or something, And Mama take over, which he was next in line, to take over, and he led that platoon. Never acted like he was scared of nothing, which if he was ever scared, he never showed it, Never showed it at all. But anyway, before I was captured, we was on a patrol one day, and they throwed shells in on us, and we was coming down that river, and they throwed shells in on us, and some gunfire and everything, and he got hit in his chest with shrapnel. Well, he never said nothing, and we got back to that house. I thought we were staying in the house, and we got back to that house when there was blood on his clothes. Mama, what's the matter? You got hit out there. Oh, it ain't nothing. Well, man, his chest was full of shrapnel. Anyway, they took him back, and I never did see him more. He said, when he left, he said, boys, I'll be back. I'll see you. But I got captured before he got back, if he did. But that was the third time he'd been hit and everything. They probably didn't let him come back. I mean, you didn't have to go back in. He wouldn't have to come back if he didn't want to. After you got wounded, I think it was 3 times or something, you didn't have to go back to the front. Maybe it was twice you didn't have to go back if they took you back. They took him back, well, he wouldn't have to come back. Well, he told us, he said, I'll be back. But like I said, we was captured before he ever got out of the hospital and things, so I don't know. I guess the man got to come home, hope he did, because he was an all right guy, I mean, he was a heck of a leader, good leader. Because whenever you was leading the guys and that, you never did want them to know you was scared. I've been so scared I could shaking in my boots and that, but I never would let them guys know it. You'd act like you wouldn't. You didn't want them to know it, because if you're scared, that's just like you're right here with your little kids. If you're scared, if they know Mama's scared, they scared too. Mama ain't scared, they ain't,
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same way it is over there. If your leader's scared to death, well, you were with him. If he ain't scared, hell no, I ain't scared, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And go on while you think, well, that son of a ain't scared, why should I be, But course, I mean, you're scared. Don't ever get me wrong. Anytime you go over and somebody's shooting at you, you're scared, you know. Bound to be scared. You're just scared you're a damn fool or something, you know. But you don't let them know it if you can help it, you know. But I've seen guys that, just go batty. We had to send them back. A lot of times we sent guys back. Would be so dang scared that they just do anything, start screaming, hollering, or running towards the enemy. You had to get rid of them, get them out of the outfit, because they'd give you positions away or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the guys couldn't help it. They just, go batty, scared to death, you know, just go plumb out of their mind. Hell, they couldn't help it, really, but it's be a hell of a thing to be like that. To me, it would have been, because I knew it was like that. Like I said, maybe I didn't have sense enough to be as scared as some of them, and like that. But then you could always tell if a guy was putting on or if he was really. See, some guys would try to fake it, you know, a little bit sometimes, try to get out or something. But you could always tell when they was really scared out of their mind, or whether they was trying to fake it or what. You know they're doing. But it's like I said, it's something. I guess that you kind of proud you had something to do with, but you sure in heck don't want to do it more. You know. Not been on that. I couldn't now, but if I was back young, I wouldn't even hate to think about even having to go through that again or anything. You know. Just like you see, after you're over there a little bit or something, you never get too close to anybody. You know, we're like old buddy, when you was here in the camp and that, and running around and that, you always had a good buddy. You didn't want to get close to anybody, because you never know when they're going to come back. When are you going to come back with them or what, you know? And in other words, just friendly and stuff like that, but as far as really getting old buddy, you didn't. You treated everybody all good and all, but as far as really getting really friendly and old buddy with somebody, you didn't want to get that close. But like I said, you never. Yeah, you never know. There might be the next day or something, you know. You know, there's one boy that I went to camp. I was in California with him, and then we was in Texas together and everything, run around with him and all. Well, we got the same outfit over there. Well, while we was in Hagen Forest, he froze his feet, got frostbite, you know, and they sent him back. Well, after I was home, I got to thinking about him. I just wonder if Barnum, his name was Frank Barnum, and he was from South Bend, Indiana. Well, he told me his address and everything up there. He lived on Lincoln Way West. Well, Mishawaka, Indiana is a suburb of South Bend, just like St. Matthews is to here, you know. But anyway, he told me we lived, so I had went back to work, and I was on the truck, and I was going through South Bend one morning, and I thought, I'll just look in the phone book, see if I can find any Barnums on Lincoln Way, and call her and see if Frank is home. You know, I always liked the boy, and he's crazy as hell, man. He was a heck of a good soldier to be with when you're over there, and he didn't have sense enough to be afraid, because he was nuts. But he was a heck of a good buddy, you know. But anyway, I called, I looked in there and I found this Barnum, and I called, and the lady answered the phone. And I said, "Are you Miss Barnum?" "Yes." I said, "Are you Frankie Barnum's mother?" She said, "Yes, I am." I said, "Is Frankie home? Did Frankie come?" She said, "Oh, Frankie got killed." I said, "No." I hadn't told her then who I was. I think I already told her who I was. But after, see, he come back to the outfit. See, he went back to, after he got his feet froze, and they took him back. He was back in England in a hospital. Of course, they got well and everything. They sent him back to the outfit, and him and another guy, or two more guys, was on a Jeep. After the war was over, they turned the Jeep over and killed him.
After war was over.
Yeah, the war was done over where he was still overseas. See, she told me, and I went out there at the house and talked to them people, and then a little bit. I told his daddy walked out to the truck with me now and then. I told his daddy, I said, man, you'd be proud of that boy, because I said he was sure a soldier. He'd throw his rifle away, get in the battle or anything, and he'd get all the hand grenades he could carry or hold, and he'd throw them hand grenades like a baseball. He'd stand there and pop that pin, and they'd go off in 4.5 seconds. He'd stand there and hold after it seemed like it ready to go off, and I'd be laying over on the ground or something, and I'd holler, turn it loose, Barnum. Goddamn, darn that thing. He said, and then he'd throw it directly, and he said they'd go off before they hit the ground, then that's when they'd do more damage, he said. But man, he was good at that. But I thought sometime he'd gonna blow himself up, but he never did. But he raised heck. I know one time we was up there, and he throwed his rifle down, and I don't know where he done. After the, like a skirmish we'd get through or something like that, he'd just pick him up a rifle. Of course, you always find one laying on the ground somewhere or something, somebody's dead, or somebody's thrown down, or somebody that don't need it no more or something. But anyway, he picked up a little old carbine, and it done been laying there, because see, a lot of time we'd go through places where that our guys had been, maybe drove back. And anyway, this carbine been laying there in the weather for, I don't know how long or what. Anyway, that's what he got. Come back, and we and him was laying in a dugout. Now, it was about as deep as that thing there, but no top of it. Me and him laying in that hole. He's smoking, because we'd smoked that band as soon as you got a chance, you'd fire up cigarettes. He's laying there smoking, looked at it, and a shell hit just above our head out here, and he'd laid that rifle up there, see. Well, it blowed that rifle down over our feet, skinned a little old place on his leg down there, about half big as my little finger. He started cussing. God damn, look at them son of a bitch done to me, Buck. They'll call me Buck for a while. God damn, Buck, look what that's. He said, look at there what they done to my rifle. They goddamn all got this little rusty rifle they done tore it up. He's ready to hold that. Rifle. Oh, I got this little rusty thing and they done broke it.
So they called you Buck over there.
Oh, everybody called me.
You're
Well,
Buck.
all in the Army, Buck, yeah. I'm called Buck everywhere, around here. Everybody knows me but Buck. In the Army, they say Buchanan. With them, they say Buchanan.
Well, it's
They're
Buchanan.
everywhere, huh?
It's Buchanan, though. It's not Buchanan.
Well, it's spelled Buchanan, really. But I had one guy when I was out in California, had a first, from then on I was Buchanan. Buck. Most everybody called me Buck all the time. And of course, that's what Barnum called me all the time, Buck. I called him. Either that, you go by your last name, or if you got a nickname, you go by that when you're in the Army. Either your lady, they don't know your first name. They don't pay on any dollar. Everybody, just like him, I called him Barney most of the time.
Barney.
Barnum, I called him Barney, and he called me Buck.
It's kind of like Ford. I worked where Dad used to work at Ford, and there's nicknames. You hardly know anybody's name.
Oh, well, no. You didn't know them, that just like it. In the Army, you know everybody by their last name. When I was out there in California, I used to buddy a little guy. He was from Minnesota. He was dang. Can't think of nationality. He wasn't that. His name was Ole Nordang. Norwegian. He was a Norwegian. Ole Nordang. That damn Buck, he'd follow me around like a little poodle dog on him. See, Ole, I think we ought to go to town tonight. Hey, whatever you say, Buck. Talk northern like that. Hey, whatever you think. And we'd go down there and we couldn't get a pass half the time. It was at Camp Hahn, California. That's at Riverside, right out of Riverside. We could go down there with a fence around the camp, but we could go down there and with a gully come down through there, and we'd go down there and crawl on that fence, go down there and go out there and get on the highway, start hitchhiking to town. Wouldn't have to go through the gate where the guards was at, the MPs did it. Yeah, we go to town without pass half the time, me and Ole would. Say, Ole, you think we ought to go to town tonight? Hey, whatever you say, Buck. We'd go down there and go on the fence, and that damn go to town. And I know one time I felt bad about this. We was hitchhiking, and this guy was from Bowling Green. And I guess it was, I don't remember what it was, his wife or girlfriend, I reckon was with him. And they was running, and they stopped and picked us up, me and Ole, see. Well, on the way out, this guy was telling me he's from Bowling Green. I go, I'm from Franklin, which is right there at Bowling Green, you know, and all that. And we talking, buddy this, and he was a lieutenant, I think he was. Anyway, they was going to some club like or something, and he tried to get us to go with him. He said, I'll get you in, y'all go like that when he was in the Army. He gave us a drink, and he said, I got a fifth back there in that door, and the car has pockets on the door, you know. Ole was sitting in the back seat. Well, I got in the front seat, was sitting there with him and his girlfriend. Anyway, after we got out of the car, of course, me and Ole didn't have much money. I told Ole, I said, damn, maybe we ought to went up there with that guy. We could have got plenty to drink. He said, we got plenty anyway. He said, I stole that fifth. And he stole that guy's fifth whiskey out of that door.
Well, he had a girl and a fifth of whiskey, you know.
Well, he had a pint of whiskey he had up there because he'd give us a drink out of that. But anyway, he said, I got a fifth back there in that door. Said, we have plenty to drink. Y'all go up there with us. Nah, we better not go up there, I'm guessing. We gonna get out and mess around in town then. And Ole stole that fifth. I kind of felt bad about that, you know, being if it had been some stranger I never had, well, I didn't even know him anyway, but he being from down there and so nice and all, you know. I kind of hate it because Ole stole his whiskey. I had him drinking anyway. He is simply that old, and he was one that used to tell me all the time, if I ever go overseas, and I don't know whether he ever went overseas or not, see, when I left California, I went to Texas, and he went to Colorado, Camp Carson, Colorado, and I went to Camp Maxey, Texas. Anyway, he used to tell me all the time, if I ever go overseas, I'll never come back. He'd tell me that all the time we was in training. I just wondered a long time if he ever went overseas, if he did come back. Well, some of them guys that was out there in California with me, went to Colorado, did come overseas, because there was one, I ran into him in that prison camp. He got captured too. He was out there, and he was from Alabama, I believe his name was Cooley. Name was Cooley, and I ran into him at the camp up there, Camp Carson was, but he joined paratroopers or something. I think it was paratroopers. Anyway, he had got captured in Germany. He was in that same prison camp I was. Of course, he didn't know about where Ole went, but he joined that troopers and got out of the infantry over there, because he didn't know what had happened to Ole or a bunch of the other guys that he was with. He didn't know anything about, you know. Then was another guy, two more guys that I was in California with, that one of them went to Texas, two of them went to Texas with me, I guess. One was named Kratz, and the other one was named, anyway, he was from Ohio, but both of them got killed over there. And after we was overseas, both of them, Kratz and Semidaner, remember that guy's name was from Ohio.
Oh, he needed a nickname.
Huh?
He needed a nickname.
Yeah.
That's too long.
Semidaner, that was his last name. I don't remember what his first name was. Semidaner. Anyway, Kratz, he got, you know, he was in a different platoon to when I was. Kratz and him both was. There's Semidaner and Kratz both was. I was in the first platoon. I was in the second platoon. They was in the first platoon, I reckon, over there when after we was in the infantry. Anyway, that sergeant that was over that platoon, I talked to him back there, and he was captured too over there. Anyway, I talked to him, and he said that Kratz didn't have a scratch on him or nothing. A shell busted too close to him, and a concussion killed him.
No kidding.
Yeah, he said he didn't have a scratch on him, wasn't a blood drop or nothing, just concussion killed him. But Semidaner got hit. I forgot who it was now. Told me maybe somebody that was in there was with Semidaner or close to him, know that they was together with a guy, and he got hit. Semidaner did. His shell busted or something, shrapnel in his chest, hit him, killed him.
Interesting.